Welcome back to One on One. I'm Bruce Garrioch. Pleased to be joined today by my old friend, my favorite former general manager of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Doug MacLean. Doug, good to see you again. You're down in Florida. I know you're roughing it. We had a little snow up here in Ottawa today, but you're back from Italy, and I know you didn't drink any wine in Italy, right?
Listen, first of all, favorite GM. I used to check every day with my buddies. What did Garrioch? What did he rip me about this week? In his Sunday column. So don't say we're buddies. Let's wipe that out right off the hop. We did spend 2 weeks in Italy. Jill and I, we went with a couple of friends, and we did a hiking tour over there, and we did Rome, and we did Saint Florence, and we did Tuscany and Umbria. We had a great time. Somebody made a mistake there of telling me that you don't get a headache from Italian wine. So anyway, it ended up being a great trip. I drank a lot of wine. Never had one headache. Felt like $1 million. So I'm back in Florida, just trying to relax.
Well, one of the things that, sometimes I think drives people here in Ottawa to maybe drink a little bit of wine is the play of the Ottawa Senators. Now, they are, I don't think there's any question, Doug, that they're improved. But if they're going to make the playoffs, what do they have to do on a consistent basis?
Well, first of all, I watched their game last week against St. Louis, and I was really impressed. I thought they played real well in that game. Ullmark made some saves early on, which was when the game was on the line, which they needed. But overall, I thought the group played well. A lot of great plays by a lot of young guys. Shabbat jumped out at me as being better. Maybe Jensen addition has helped him let him relax a little bit defensively. Not that he should relax defensively, but I thought he was really struggling in that area last year. You always like his offense. So I think I was a little caught off guard. Drew on left wing really looked good with Batherson and Norris. I thought it gave them a real good second line. Kachuk and Stutzel look real good as and whoever plays with Kachuk has got a chance to do some damage. So I really like the way they played. I think Ullmark is going to be a big addition. So yeah, there's no doubt they're better. Here's the challenge.
Yep.
The Panthers, Lightning, and Leafs are getting in my opinion.
Yep, for sure.
And the Rangers, Hurricanes, and Devils are probably going to get in. And then you got Washington that's just kicking at the door. And then to me, it's Ottawa, the Bruins, CBJ, Buffalo, Detroit. One of those teams are getting in. Maybe two. But that's the challenge is, can any of those bottom teams that are rebuilding try to take a step and play a total team game, which is what it takes to make the playoffs? The Leafs, I watched them last. I mean, they're sputtering. They're in it. I said to Kiprios the other day,
fine though.
They're the Forrest Gump of the NHL. Like they're like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're getting from game to game. Imagine that team with the worst power play in the NHL. And then you look at Ottawa, 33% on the power play. Penalty killing is pretty decent. I mean, 77%. It's got to get better than that. But I really would love to see them play playoff style hockey more consistently. And that is scoring dirty goals, not the beautiful, pretty plays of a Stutzel to Batherson or whoever, Kachuk, but the hard fought battle goals in the paint at the net that you have to learn to score, because that's what happens at playoff time. And also being able to play in your own end and being responsible defensively. And I guarantee you, Travis is talking about that on a daily basis. By the way, tell Travis next time you're talking to him. Like when I was a coach and he was a player, he was the funniest guy. He always come over to the opposing coach and, was, joking. And now I listen to him in his press conference. He's the most serious guy on the face of the earth. You know?
Maybe you need to have that chat with him yourself. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, he's got
we're
yeah,
trying to lighten up.
loosen up, man. I mean, I'll
Oh,
have to tell him, like, Garrioch can be not good, but he's also not that bad a guy. But some of the
that's
rest
right.
of them there, I don't know the rest of them like you do.
Like
So,
just have some fun.
oh
You
no,
know?
there's no such thing as fun in the NHL anymore. Look at Jim Montgomery benching and Pasternak. Like, where's his head? Like, what's he think? So anyway, just on the Sens, I really like some of the things I've seen, and I think, look, I get a kick out of Travis, and I'd like you to ask him this. So Goodette and McEwen were not his favorites in Vancouver by a long shot. All of a sudden, they've come in and given him a pretty good fourth line. You know, whether it's Gregor who's playing with him, gives him a pretty good fourth line. All of a sudden now he seems to be a little happier with those guys. So, you know, maybe the experience, and he, of course, he'll take the credit saying, you know, they realized how they had to playing for me. But, you know, it's good to see those two guys being rejuvenated and given a little bit of energy to the group, which they need.
Well, but you know, and I know, Doug, that some of that's maturity, right? No,
Oh
but
yeah.
seriously, like
But
guys
by
like that,
Travis, you mean, or the
no,
players?
the players, because
Oh,
no, with guys like that, some of them realize
yeah.
this is what it's going to take to keep me in the National Hockey League, right? Like sometimes the alarm bells go off in your head, don't they?
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of funny with these guys. Both of them go to the American League and they tear it up. Every time they'd send McEwen down, you know, whether it was wherever he was, he'd score like crazy in the American League, and he was a stud down there. Same with Goodette. I mean, you go down to the American League and tear it up, but they've got to adjust their game. They've got to realize what their role is and accept the role. If you're a fourth liner, it's better to be a fourth liner in the NHL than a first liner in the American League. So whatever it takes to satisfy the coach and help the team, you got to figure it out. And a lot of guys in their career don't figure it out. What am I capable of becoming in the NHL besides a star like I was on the way up? So it's good to see it on those two guys.
One thing I wanted to ask about, and I pull up the standings here because is the concern for a team like Ottawa, Doug, the Boston Bruins, they like you look at their division, they're in a tough division. The Atlantic division is tough. And I'm like you, I'm willing to concede those
Yeah.
three spots
Yeah.
to Florida, Tampa, and Toronto. But at the start of the season, I also would have been willing to concede one to the Boston Bruins.
Oh
And
no.
it kind of feels to me like they've gotten their act together a little bit too, Doug. I mean, is that the danger for you talk about Ottawa, Detroit, Buffalo, Columbus, who
Yeah.
want to get there? Is that the danger for them?
Well, the danger is I know Washington got in the playoffs last year, but I would have thought they were a bubble team this year, really, a bubble team again. And all of a sudden, they've come out of the chute playing real well and look like they're on a mission. They're well coached. The kid has done a real good job. Full marks to him. They're not an easy team to play. I watched them last week against the Rangers. They went into New York and dominated the Rangers. So
Yeah.
Boston will get it going if Swayman comes back to where Swayman was last year. If Brad Marchand, I mean, look, he had three surgeries in the offseason. Is he going to bounce back? Pasternak has been good, in my opinion, I guess until last night, but I thought he's been real good. So they're not as good, the Bruins, but yeah, I agree. If they get it going, and there's a good chance they will, that's what makes it tough. Typically, there's one team, a division, who knocks somebody out and somebody drops a year in the playoffs. So that's the toughest part. And when I look at the standings every day and I'm thinking, man, is it hard to make the playoffs in the NHL? And, you know, I know, you know, they're teenagers now since they made there's 13-year-olds running around Buffalo who have never seen a playoff game with the Sabres, you know?
Yeah.
And Ottawa, you know, you're getting what, 7 years or so.
Now that this is, you know, if they miss this year, it's 8 years.
Yeah, so you know, it's so hard to make it, but it's critical that they make it. And look, it's the toughest part of. I'll never forget when we were scouting in Europe, you know, and I was a GM and Kenny Holland was GM. We'd be sitting at breakfast, and Kenny would have the stats pack, and he would go through the standings with a fine-tooth comb. What do we have to do to make the playoffs? This is game 30 of the regular season he'd be studying. And this is a guy that was GM of a top team in the league. It's hard for everybody to make the playoffs. Really is.
And I look at the Senators right now, and how much, and this will be the last question on Ottawa, how much can an Allmark mean to that group? And how much would you ride him when they don't have another back-to-back now, Doug, until December 1st?
I'd play the living snot out of him. That's what I would do. And, you know, he wants to play. I mean, he's been a half and half guy in Boston his whole career. He's relishing this opportunity to be the outright number one guy. He's a good goaltender. I think he's ready for a big challenge. And look, we talk about their blue line. He's going to make their blue line better. There's no denying that. They've got skill up front. Only thing that makes me a little nervous, I don't want to see their skill guys become like some skilled guys in the league where all they think about is putting points on the board. Yeah. Think about what it's going to take to get your team in the playoffs, and it'll be for the betterment of your career. But these offensive guys, it's an easy situation to get selfish because of money, because of playing time, many things. But they as I said earlier, the Sens have got to score dirty goals, and they got to play a total team game. And I'm sure that's what Travis is trying to drill into their heads.
10 days ago, Doug, they lost 5-4 in Colorado. Yeah. And I think that Travis Green used that as a wake-up call, and they've played better defensively since. Really, they're not. Do you think the key for this team is they're not going to outscore teams? Is if they play responsible at both ends of the ice, and they're going to be fine.
And there's no reason, because the group they have on the back end are skill guys in Sanderson, Shabbat, and these guys, but they're also fairly big, strong guys, puck movers. You know, they will get their points. They don't have to be greedy. They've got to look after their own end first. And as I used to say when I was a coach, get the puck out of your zone first, make the play second. In other words, get it up the ice and worry about making plays further up the ice. But get it out of your zone is the number one priority, and protect your zone.
Doug, I was glad that I was able to drag you off the golf course, but I heard before we wind up here, I heard a great golf story about you from your old buddy, the retired Columbus broadcaster, Jeff Rimmer, about you playing golf last winter with Jack Armstrong. Yeah. Well, why don't you pass along to that?
Well, first of all, Jeff Rimmer, I hear he's thinking of coming back because he's very upset with all the accolades that Sam Rosen's getting, and he thinks he deserves more.
He needs a retirement tour.
And he bought me an egg sandwich last week at Starbucks. It was a miracle in Delray Beach that he actually pulled his wallet out. But anyway, look, I'm playing golf, Jack and I, at Seagate Country Club. Jack's a member there. And we're playing, and there's this couple pushing us from behind, and we were a threesome. So we stop at the ninth hole, and Jack, we were going to grab a beer and let the couple behind us go by. And the guy pulls up in the cart, and I said, "Hey, you guys go ahead. You're twosome." And the guy looks at me, he said, "How you doing, Mac?" And I said, "Excuse me, do I know you?" And he takes his hat and sunglasses off, and it's Mario Lemieux. He said, "Jesus, Mac, you don't know who I am?" So it's Mario Lemieux. Anyway, I said, "Oh my God, Mario!" I just watched a show on him the night before, how he had come back from leukemia and won the scoring race. And I'm thinking, "Mario, I just watched a show on you last night." Oh, I was never so embarrassed in my life. But anyway, then the next week I'm out playing at Pine Tree, which is where Mario's son's a club champion, and Mario plays as well. And I brought the boys cigars. I was just playing with some buddies. I brought them 4 cigars. So they got the caddy, and they got, the caddies on the back, and I get the nice white towels and everything. So I like the cigars.
Not that kind of player, right?
I like the cigars for the boys going down, at the first tee box. Here's your cigars. I throw the torch in underneath my the golf cart, and I'm going down the fairway, and all of a sudden, a new fresh white towel is in flames on the golf cart, and I grab it and throw it out on the fairway, and the caddy's looking like, "What the hell's going on here?" So anyway, I, anyway, other than that, I've had a good time playing golf, but my games really come around, to be quite honest, in retirement.
Oh, before we go, I think we can both say now that if Nick Kyprios's guy, Steve Apostolopoulos, had gotten this team, how much do you think Nick would be leaning on both of us right now? Or would we have been just spending every Friday in his office trying to tell him what to do? Or
like when they were trying to buy the team, I was on the phone with him every day. I'm from Portugal, talking to him about it. And you know what would have happened if he would have got the team? He would have had the big cushy job, whatever. He would have been president or whatever Steos is. Or no, he wouldn't be GM. He'd rather be just the president. So. And what would have happened to me? I would be the same as I am on his radio show every Friday, carrying the show and not getting paid. That's what it would have been for me. So, anyway, it was a fun process to go through.
Well, you did an excellent job carrying the show for me today, and you know what? You're not getting paid.
Oh no! Hey, don't worry. As I said when you came to visit us at the cottage, you and your lovely wife, I used to have to hide the last few beer behind the ketchup bottle in the fridge because you were searching them out like nobody's business. But anyway, good to go on. Good to be on your show. I've heard a lot about this show, so I really feel fortunate I got asked to come on. Thanks a million.
All I can say is, don't ever drive 14 hours home after spending the night at Doug's.
That's right.